You're listening to Primetime Sportz Radio, 88.5 WRAS, HD1 and 2 Atlanta. I tell you, this has the potential to be one of the best final matchups, maybe of all time. You have the best scorer in the game and the best player in the world. And these teams are so different, but they're similar in certain ways. They know how to score. Of course, Golden State's a better scoring team. But you have two alphas who most people expected these two teams to go to the finals. But I think this matchup could be one of possibly the best ever. Well, of course, but the thing is for the Cavs, it's how they're going to deal with these two guards, Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry. Now, depending on how Kyrie holds up with his leg injury, his calf injury, his foot injury, his toe injury, all the injuries that he's had this season, he's going to have he can't run away from the fact that he's going to have to chase these guys, Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry. But it's how they limit his efforts on the defensive side of the ball. And if they can, help Kyrie out, with Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith, or, maybe putting LeBron on Steph Curry. But the matchups in this series will be really interesting to watch because there's so many different various things that they can do. Of course, J.R. Smith will be guarding Klay Thompson, maybe. Or do they want to put LeBron on Klay Thompson? And they put J.R. on Harrison Barnes. But there's a couple of different matchups that I'm pretty excited to see. I want to see because these two teams are totally different. I mean, they're both physical teams, but of course, I think most would agree that Cleveland is the more physical team. And Cleveland has the ability to run with these guys. They have the ability, but is that the best thing for them? Do you want to put LeBron on Klay Thompson to drain his energy? He's definitely in shape. He can do it. But is that the best thing for the Cavs in this series? And really looking at the rotation for Cleveland, they're just not as deep as Golden State. They've got Dellavedova, Iman Shumpert, and their starting five with Mozgov, Tristan Thompson, LeBron James, J.R. Smith, and Kyrie Irving. And Golden State has Andre Iguodala, David Lee, Barbosa, and Sean Livingston, who are all great players and play a vital role in this offense. And that's the only knock on the Cavs. They're not just they don't have that much depth as Golden State does. But I think what would be a key matchup, very interesting to watch. I honestly think they should start Dellavedova and put him on Stephen Curry. Because Dellavedova will get in his grill. He's going to frustrate him. He's going to make him turn the ball over, lose the ball. He's going to be up in his grill, possibly 94 feet, if that's what they want to do. And it's going to be really interesting to see Dellavedova push Stephen Curry's buttons. Because he can stick with him. He can stick with him, and he's going to get on his nerves. Kyrie doesn't have that same aggression. That's just not his style. But this is Dellavedova's style. He's an aggressive point guard, not really a dirty player, but that's the aggression, and that's how he always played. I think they should start Dellavedova on Stephen Curry. I do. And let Kyrie maybe come off the bench and get considerable minutes. J.R. Smith, he's in a tough situation because he's going to either have to guard Klay Thompson or Harrison Barnes. I don't think he can really guard Harrison Barnes. I mean, he can, but I don't think it's the best matchup. I think it's kind of a disadvantage because of the height. And Harrison Barnes is a long-rangey player. He's physical as well. Not to say J.R. Smith isn't, but I think J.R. Smith would be better suited guarding Klay Thompson. And to look at the opposite spectrum of this whole thing, we always want to talk about, well, most people want to talk about, how is Cleveland going to guard Golden State? But you also have to look at how is Golden State going to guard Cleveland, because these guys are physical. They will beat you up. And the knock on Golden State right now, their two best players are dinged up with head injuries. Stephen Curry, I don't think anything's really wrong with his shoulder. I mean, he wore the sleeve and took it off in the fourth quarter. Well, approaching the fourth quarter. But I don't think anything's really wrong with his shoulder. But their two best players are dinged up in the head, which is very, very important and a vital thing with this matchup. And you have to look at who's gonna guard LeBron. I guess maybe Draymond Green, maybe Harrison Barnes. Iguodala will probably definitely guard him coming off the bench. But do you start Iguodala for Harrison Barnes? I mean, it's interesting. They can put Sean Livingston on LeBron. He's a long-rangey guy, physical. He's not the most physically gifted person, but he's definitely physical, and he's long and rangy, and he has the skill to guard him. But I think LeBron, the way they would guard LeBron, is probably similar to the way they guarded James Harden. I mean, now of course the physical spectrum is totally different because LeBron is a totally different player. He's a freight train coming down the lane, ready to dunk on anybody he sees. And he has the offensive skill, and he has the ability to pass the ball, which is, I mean, you know, that's the thing that you have with the best player in the world. So this matchup will be really interesting, and I can't wait to see it. And I really think this has the ability to be one of the best finals ever. You have the best player in the world and the best scorer in the world. But both teams are really banged up. Does it really matter? No, I think they'll be okay. I don't think with the loss of Kevin Love is really going to play a factor because they're obviously a better defensive team without him. And another key matchup is Mozgov and Andrew Bogut. I'm sorry. Well, Tristan Thompson and Draymond Green. What are they going to do with Tristan Thompson? Because he's no Dwight Howard, but he's more aggressive. He's tenacious on the boards. He gets offensive boards, second chances for the offense. He's a physical guy. And not to mention, he has touch around the rim. Dwight Howard didn't have that. Dwight Howard had no touch around the rim with a defensive contact on his back shoulder or back or whatever, which really hurt the Houston offense because they couldn't score the ball when he had it. He couldn't go one-on-one. Tristan Thompson can do that. And he has a little bit of a jump shot. A little bit. Tristan Thompson will probably be the most important piece of this finals for Cleveland to win this series. And I don't think Draymond Green can guard him. He's too physical, he's too long, and he's too tenacious on the boards. And I think if they put Draymond Green on Tristan Thompson, he's going to get frustrated, and we know how Draymond Green is. He's going to get frustrated, he's going to get technicals, and he's going to get careless fouls. So do you put Andrew Bogut on him? This is the point of the season. Cleveland is a big team. Golden State, not so much. Great scorers, great athletes, great perimeter game. But Cleveland is a man game. They have grown men on their team who are physical and long. So Golden State's really going to get tested. I think the key to this series is who can win that one away game. And who's going to steal one? Because this series can go all the way down to Game 6, Game 7. I think it's going to go 6. I pick the Cavs, 4-2 or 4-3, depending. If it goes Game 7, I think they'll win. I think LeBron will win in Cleveland, Game 7. I really do. I'm sorry, in Golden State. But I really pick Cleveland to win this series 4-2. Great matchup. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be very schematic. And it's going to be interesting to watch from game to game because things are going to change. And it's going to be interesting to see what each coach does. It's more about just the three-pointer for Golden State. They've got to deal with LeBron, Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith. They have guys who can really put the ball in the basket. just like Golden State can, from the perimeter and inside. And if Stephen Curry holds up and Klay Thompson, if their injuries don't, play a factor into it, they have a great chance. But if their injuries, if they're not themselves, then this series can get really ugly. Because without Stephen Curry, I believe Golden State's about 30% from the three-pointer. So, but I think Cleveland will win this. I think LeBron is about to get on the run where I think he's in that stage of his career where he's unbeatable. Kobe did it, MJ did it, Magic did it. And I think LeBron, it's about to kick in with him. And this is the prime of his career where he just keeps winning. And he's really unbeatable. So I think it'll be a great matchup. You're listening to Primetime Sportz Radio, 88.5 WRAS, HD1, HD2 Atlanta.